Welcome back to Mobile Device Automation with UiPath Test Suite. In the previous videos, we had the chance to create many different mobile automation projects. But if you recall from the beginning of the course, we said that the main use case for mobile automation is currently mobile testing. It's time to see how we can leverage a mobile automation workflow to create a simple test case. What you see here on the screen is a simple sequence to automate applying for a loan on the UI Bank website. We've built it a couple of times throughout this course, so there's no point in going back to it. To create a test case from an automation workflow, we can right-click the sequence in the project panel and select Create Test Case. Give it a name and hit Create. The test case has been created using the given when-then structure, which is standard for UiPath Studio Pro. The original workflow is invoked in the when block. The given block is where we define the conditions for the execution of the test case. In the original sequence, these conditions, namely the device, the app, and so on, are hard-coded. Let's change that. We'll go through all the relevant fields in the original automation and change the values with variables. Let's start with the APM URL. We'll delete the existing value. Press Ctrl-K simultaneously to create a new variable and name it. We'll do the same for the fields under Capabilities. Platform name, platform version, device name, and browser name. Let's also do this for the Start Page field, like this. Great. Now, since we need dynamic values to be passed from outside of the sequence, we have to convert these variables to arguments. This is easily done by selecting all, right-clicking them, and choosing Convert to Argument. Back to the test case, we now need to import the arguments of the sequence. This means that we need to define where each of them takes the value from. So, we'll create new variables in the test case workflow, corresponding to the arguments for the sequence invoked. And to keep things easy to follow, we can give them the same names. Once again, we have the APM URL, the platform name, the platform version, the device name. Oops, it seems that from the browser name we made a mistake earlier by naming the argument Chrome. Let's correct that by going back to the sequence. But let's finish with the start page before that. Okay, now let's import the arguments one more time to process this last change. Small error here. It seems that we simply entered the name of one of the variables without actually creating it. Let's make this right too. We're all set here, except maybe for one thing. Since we created the variables inside the when sequence, their scope was defined locally. Let's change that to the entire test case from the variables panel, like this. Now this looks good. With the context set up like this, we can assign the values we want for our test case execution. And one of the ways is to use a multiple assign in the given block. Let's keep things simple for our first run by using the same values. For APM URL, we'll take the value from the device connected in the Mobile Device Manager. For platform version, we'll add 8.1. Android for platform name. As for the device name, let's take it from the Mobile Device Manager to make sure we avoid any typos. Browser name, that's Chrome. Finally, for the start page, we'll take the value from Mobile Device Manager once again, but this time from the Applications tab. Alright, so, even if the execution will not change at all, we now have a flexible test case, since we can easily change the values here and get different outcomes. But a true test case is supposed to also perform some sort of verification. That's the function of the then block, right? For example, we can check whether the loan is approved. To do this, let's first make an adjustment to the base sequence. Right now, it does a good job at entering the data to apply for a loan, but it doesn't check the outcome. This can easily be changed by using a getText activity. Let's add one at the end of our workflow. Since we are still connected to the device, let's point to this field right here, which contains the essential piece of information we're after. Confirm, then get back to Studio Pro. where we'll define a new variable to store the output text. But since we need this information in the test case, let's convert it to an argument and set the direction to out. For the changes to come into effect, let's import the arguments one more time. Okay, so the new argument doesn't appear here, and that's because we didn't save the sequence. Let's fix that. There's our new argument. We can now create a new variable with the same name and change its scope to the entire test case. We're now ready to do the verification. We'll add a verify expression with operator, which is one of the dedicated activities in the testing package. Let's add the last variable on the left. Select the contains operator and enter approve for alone as a string on the right. We're all set. This will basically check whether the outcome of our automation of applying for alone contains this string. If it does, the verification passes, so the test case is successful. Let's see it in action. The old connection is closed, and a new one is being established. Now our automation is running. And it's done. As you can see on the output panel on the bottom right, the verification has passed. So, the test case was successful. This concludes our demo on creating a test case from a mobile device automation workflow. That was quite easy, right? For our next trick, we'll take a step further and see how data-driven testing works with mobile devices. But for that, you'll have to check out the next demo. See you there.